You're listening to the Board Game Snobs podcast, a ridiculous podcast with ridiculous hosts that discuss ridiculous things. And any mention of board games is purely coincidental. And so, without further ado, and with a heavy dollop of shame and embarrassment on my part, I give you the Board Game Snobs.
And go.
I'm sorry, I was posting something on the social media.
Oh, we posted.
Wait, okay.
But that's okay.
No,
This
I
is
said-
Jerry here.
What?
What are you doing? Go.
And-
No!
And
We're already going!
And go! And go!
This is Jerry. And I'm with the Board Game Snobs. Hello, everybody.
Did you forget how to introduce the podcast?
I forgot.
What do you
for
mean?
a
You
mo-
said you already said go.
People like... I've been watching this show on YouTube called Good Mythical Morning. It's a
God.
extremely popular show. 20 million subscribers. They've been on for like 20 years. I've discovered the reason people like certain shows is they like consistency and they like catchphrases.
They don't
Oh.
like catchphrases.
No, they don't.
Zoinka, Zoinka.
Nobody likes
What is
catchphrases.
this?
Zoinka, Zoinka. I'm bringing it back every episode.
What is this? Scooby Doo?
Zoinka, Zoinka. Thank you for the board.
They like
Thank you.
like
God.
interesting catchphrases.
They're not so interesting.
We gotta have variety,
catchphrase?
guys.
Like whenever they like eat something, like they usually basically just like eat a bunch of food and they like test one food group against another, or like one like McDonald's versus Arby's, and they'll like eat a burger and they'll say, all right, they'll like both of them will pick up a burger and they'll say dink it, and they like basically like a cheers, but instead of drinks it's like the burger, so they like touch burgers. They're like dink it and sink it, and they sink it into their mouths.
Oh, that's goofy.
And they have a lot of others.
People don't
God.
like that, though.
Dink it and
Some
sink it.
people do. You can't say.
No, they don't. People don't like
And
that.
go. Zoinka, Zoinka.
People don't like that.
Oh my God.
Just because people do it and tolerate it doesn't mean they like it. Who has a catchphrase?
I'm Gabi. Enrique, introduce yourself and say hello.
Oh, this is Enrique.
Because we
Yeah.
might have this. Imagine if someone's listening to this show for the very first time this episode.
Nobody. We have
God
this.
forbid.
No.
We have
God
the
No.
same
No.
people listen
No.
to our show.
No.
We might get one new. If you're a new listener to this very episode, email us at boardgamesnobs@gmail.com. Also in the show notes, which no one cares about except the editors, which is me and everybody else on the podcast of board games and stuff that put show notes and stuff. And they're like, hey, please look at our shows.
What are show notes?
Exactly.
What are they? I'm
When you
literally,
listen
I
to
don't know.
When you listen to a podcast and they mention something, you don't have to like type it in yourself. Just click on the podcast you're listening to, and there's show notes that explain what this podcast is. We're talking about this game and this game and this game. Also, we discussed Zoinka Zoinka. Go to zoinka.com and they have a link right there, so you don't have to go search
So it's
for
the
it.
description.
Yes, the show notes is the description.
So like on YouTube, they say down in this description.
Yes,
Description.
exactly. So like boardgamesnobs@gmail.com.
So what are you
is
putting
in
in the show notes? Just art email?
It's the email and our Facebook
Like they
and our
can't-
Instagram. Oh, thank you for all of our recent Instagrammers
I don't Instagram.
and Facebookers
That's for thoughts.
that they've clicked on the show notes for.
Thoughts and prayers. Anyways,
This is as much gratitude you're going to get from Jerry.
there has
anyways.
been controversy
From
if-
what?
Controversy.
in the board game reviewer / influencer realm.
How so?
You don't know this because you don't
I don't follow.
pay attention to anything.
Yeah.
But there
Tell
is
me,
a
though.
certain YouTuber who's a board game influencer.
Okay,
It goes by the name of Quackalope.
that's a weird name.
Oh, you're going to say the name.
We got to.
Now, I don't
I don't
look.
want to get us in any legal trouble.
No.
I don't do this vague stuff, and I'm not
Yeah,
making.
if we're gonna
I'm not
bash
making.
There's a certain YouTuber.
No,
I'm not doing
No,
claims.
no, Gabi,
I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm
He
not
loves
accused.
ducks.
I'm not doing accused. I'm not accusing anybody of
Yeah,
anything.
we-
I'm just saying what's
no,
going on.
we can't-
Enrique, what are you saying right now? You don't even know what we're talking about.
I
Just-
know what
he's trying to get a point in because you won't be quiet.
we can't.
Why are you so angry?
Because you keep interrupting my boy.
Enrique, I thought you were going to eat chicken nuggets.
I was going, but they got me interested in this. We're bashing someone, aren't we?
Yeah,
No.
No?
Legally we
See?
can't.
Oh,
See,
legally.
exactly.
Well,
Go eat
still.
your chicken.
No,
No.
don't eat your chicken.
No,
Listen.
no.
Don't eat your
I'm
chicken.
just saying. If
That's
we
a new
were-
phrase. Go eat your chicken. We're gonna be, zoinka, zoinka.
Listen.
No.
So
Put it on a shirt.
there's a YouTuber goes by the name of Quackalope,
Okay.
and there was a recent hoorah that went on with a particular Kickstarter game called like Aeon's Trespass. I think that was it. Very popular one, I guess. He had played a bunch of and he made some videos of it, and then he had contacted the people who were the publishers and basically said, hey, we've done a bunch of content.
Now, this is according to the stuff you've read on the internet. We haven't spoken to him personally.
Right, right. And so
Yeah.
this is allegedly.
Allegedly. Thank you. Please say allegedly.
No. That's some weak stuff.
Why are you
right
getting
there.
out your debit card?
Because I'm fixing to charge things up. It was in my pocket.
What, you keep your debit card?
No, I got a cheeseburger before I come here, and I put it down in my wallet, and I forgot to stick it back in my wallet, so it was in my pocket.
Oh, don't do that. That's
was-
how you lose stuff.
Well, it was exactly. It was bothering
Is your
my
wallet?
pocket.
Does your wallet protect against that RFI?
No,
oh,
no.
so everybody's steal.
I've got an old school wallet.
Everybody's stealing your
I
information.
don't, but my wallet does have like a little zipper, like a little coin purse on the side, which is
purse?
I really like
do you
it.
need? What
It's
do you
very nice.
why you need
For
coins?
this very evening, when I shall go home on the toll road, I have to leave from here. I got to give him a quarter, and it's in my coin purse.
You know what that is?
You just put that in your car. You have a little change thing in your vehicle. You don't carry around coins.
Why not though?
You don't carry around coins.
Not anymore.
You can't. All you got's Benjamins.
I'm Coinholio.
I don't even have Benjamins on me no more. I got all my debit cards,
And
credit
I need
cards.
you to pay me for your ticket to BGG.
Well, you gotta
And
tell
the
me.
ticket previously, you owe me $700
Now wait a minute.
from
Hold
last
on.
time and this time. $700 and a kidney.
A kid. I only have the one.
Cut it off. Listen.
take it off
So
the guy's body.
allegedly, this guy sent an email to a company and said, "Look, I could reshoot the videos for X amount of money," and they took it like he was trying to blackmail them. Was the hoorah allegedly? I'm just gonna keep saying allegedly. That was going on all
As
the
Al
social
Pacino would
media.
say.
Hoorah!
Hoorah.
Smell of a woman. That's not it. I can't do Al Pacino's.
I can't. It's just like, hoorah.
No,
Just
he's
like, hoorah. I literally don't know anything Al Pacino has ever said.
Like what?
Exactly.
He does a bunch of stuff. I just
There's quotable things. Say hello to my little friend.
no, not from Scarface.
That's literally
No,
the
he
only
says-
quote.
he says a bunch
This
of
is like
stuff.
one of the greatest actors of all time. I cannot quote a thing he
In
said.
the Son of a Woman, he gives a great speech. It's because he
No,
does.
I'm saying like a quote. Like, I'll be back. Like,
No,
what's a quote of Al
big-
Pacino's?
there's tons of them, but the fact is he doesn't do one-liners. He does actual speeches.
Give me one.
Speeches.
Give me one.
You want me to give an entire speech?
Of Al Pacino's in a movie.
Here's the thing. Most people can't do a speech word for word. That's why they do one-liners, so that the masses can remember the pablum that they put out.
I just want one quotable line. Daniel Day-Lewis, Last Mohicans, they stay as they lay.
They stay as they
stay
lay.
as they lay. We need to bury the dead. They stay as they lay.
It's a one-liner still. It's not. It's
Fantastic.
It's a one-liner. You all right, give me one speech. That's not Gladiator.
7 years ago.
Our father said to thee. See, that's all you
Zoinka,
got.
zoinka.
That's all you got. I got one speech, and it's the one off of.
Independence Day.
No, it's Chris Pine, the Outlaw
Oh.
King.
Oh. You picked a interesting movie.
Well, I love historical movies because it's like they're about to go do a fight against the England and all that.
I
And
know,
it's
but
for
it wasn't
Scotland.
like a big hit. It wasn't like a big hit movie.
It's historical. It was a hit, and if you're from
on
Scotland,
Netflix?
yes,
I never watched it.
of course you don't, because you don't watch anything good. Outlaw King.
I've seen plenty of Chris Pine movies.
I could talk about God. What is my what?
I don't know.
What
I
is
feel
my
like this is
accent?
racist.
What is my accent? I can't do an Irish accent or Scottish accent.
I feel like that's extremely racist.
It does. He says I can talk about God, but God has
talk about God.
God. Yeah, but he has no place where we are going.
Huh?
He says we have no place where we are going.
We have no place.
God has no place where we are going.
God has no place where we are going. I can't do one either.
I
I can do like a hard, mean Scottish.
Says I can talk about honor,
I can talk about honor,
but you are here.
but you are here.
You know enough about honor.
You know enough about honor. Richard is very
Richard's
upset
dying right now. He's dying.
No, this is how you fix it. We can talk about your honor.
I know you all as men,
I know you all are men,
but today
but today is your Independence Day.
we are beasts.
Today we are beasts.
I do not care.
No, hold on.
Sad that I know this whole speech. I know this whole speech. I do not care if you fight for God, for honor, for your friends, for
Fight
family,
for God, and for
your
honor.
country, yourself.
country.
I do not care.
Do
As
not
long as you
care.
fight.
As long as you fight.
That's that great scene. Okay. That's
Great scene.
Oh no, stop.
It's a great scene. All right, so about this matter of blackmail.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
No, we don't do allegedly.
We can talk about blackmail.
I prefer chainmail.
If you don't forward this email to 10 people,
Yeah.
I'm going to do a bad review of it.
If you don't forward this to 10 people, I'll leave you a bad review. I was thinking more of like, under the coat,
I know what
under,
you do.
under the armor.
Hey, there's chemistry. Listen here, whiz kids.
God.
If you
Clash
don't,
of Cultures was great stuff.
but if you don't forward this
If you don't forward this podcast.
to 10 people, you're going to wind up someone in your family. I'm sorry. I don't know where to go with this.
Stop.
Okay.
Someone's
Give me a
knocking
second.
the door.
So, allegedly, that's what happened.
Excuse me.
Is that basically an influencer communicated with a company that if they paid them X amount of money, then he would redo or shoot a video or something like that. Okay, so this hoopla is all going on.
Hoopla and hoorah.
And so now people are releasing emails and everybody's opinions, and he's supposed to do a Ask Me Anything, or AMA. Is that what that's called?
AMA. AMA.
Which, that's against medical advice. Is
Well,
what we used to call it.
I don't understand. I mean, you can ask me anything. I ain't got to answer nothing.
What I would love to do is like do that on Reddit. Ask me anything, and people just start asking questions, and I don't
Just
respond.
like, no, I didn't say
I
I
was
was
going to
answer.
say they just be real quiet, show up on CNN and just don't say anything. Hello, and they start asking questions. Like, I ain't. They didn't say I'd answer anything. Either way, so basically now there's all these accusations of basically trying to extort money and junk like that,
Accusation.
allegedly. And so I hate when stuff like this happens because
It's a black eye on the community.
we really don't have much of a. Do we have a community?
Not really. Apparently not. Everybody's always attacking each other.
I don't attack anybody. Besides,
No, we love everyone.
I don't love everyone.
We don't love everyone.
There's very few people.
There's
I like.
very few people that we like.
Dan,
We like
Mike,
them,
Richard,
Ben,
Richard,
Matt, Jude, Paula. Basically, anyone that's been on our
What did Matt
podcast,
and
we
Jude
like.
get 2 names?
Matty Jude.
Yeah, pretty much anybody who's on our Patreon.
We
That's
love
the
our
deal.
Patreoners.
That's the deal from here on out. If you're not on our Patreon, we're probably going to talk bad about you. So
But pay us $10 a month, and maybe we'll talk good.
$1 will make you avoid our ire.
Okay, there you go.
$1 to avoid
But
the
we
ire.
really do appreciate our Patreon.
I do. I do.
like.
I know you don't. You're talking trash about them all the
I
time.
do not talk trash.
Allegedly.
I love.
I could just
them,
say
and I
allegedly,
appreciate them.
and everything I say can
And
be right or
you know
wrong.
what? You know what? Warms the cockles of my heart more than anything
tell
is
me.
that we've made it clear to our Patreoners that we can't do anything special for them.
Nothing.
We don't
Absolutely
produce
nothing.
extra content for them,
We could.
but we do. For instance, our bill for Podbean, distributor of our podcast. It
Yeah.
came up this month. And I got a notification. That's when you're out at sea. Knots. I got a bunch of knots. 6.5
Like,
knots.
I could do something special. I just send them a nugget that's been blessed by me.
What's a nugget?
A nugget. Just a singular.
You mean a chicken nugget?
Yeah, a
You
singular
would mail
chicken
somebody a
nugget
chicken nugget?
that's been blessed by me.
How do you bless it?
Holy water.
What would
Yeah.
you say?
I don't know. I would just probably write some weird stuff.
Oh, he means
on
like sign it.
You know how big a nugget is. How are you going to write on it?
He could write on his hand. His hands
it. Yeah,
are very
my
small.
hands are tiny.
I feel like you'd have to skin the nugget down to the flesh.
I could do that. I can just skin.
What sort of writing utensil would you use?
I don't know.
He's
I'll figure it
he's
out.
into
though.
calligraphy.
So you haven't. You were going to figure it
I'll
out.
figure it out.
You know, I'm going to buy you a nugget, and I want you to write something on it.
We're going to see Bruno this week. You can give him a nugget.
Oh,
He's
There
from,
you go.
He's from
All right.
Canada.
So, but anyway, so I just wanted to say,
I love
to our
Canadian
Patreons,
geese.
I really. So anyway, what I was saying was that we did not have the funds in my normal week to week account that my wife and us follow, but we had funds in our Patreon account that kept this open for another year of Podbean publishing.
There you go. So
Thanks to our Patreons.
thanks to our patrons, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Literally, we would not be. You would
No,
be
we would
dead.
not. We would be-
You would be dead. Enrique would be out on the street.
I wouldn't be on the street.
Yes, you would.
I would be dead.
You have. You have no discernible skills.
Exactly. That's why I wouldn't be on
30
the street.
cents a day is all it
I don't
takes
even
to
have
feed this
the
poor boy.
necessary abilities to survive by myself. And you give me high praise that I would be able to even survive on the streets. Thank you.
So
Yeah,
what is your, okay, so you bringing this whole thing
I
up.
bring
What's
this
your
up
opinion?
about Quackalope because number one, it's a hot.
Allegedly.
I'm allegedly bringing this up.
Allegedly bringing it up.
It may-
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically,
What would you say?
What I would say if I was thinking about this is number one, the reason I'm bringing this up is for clicks. Two, I don't know what's going on. Even though I've seen the emails
Fantastic.
on all the responses.
Great to bring this stuff up when you don't know what's going on.
Three,
Precisely.
99% of people that bring stuff like this up don't know what they're talking about anyways, but yet they do it. Why?
Clickbait.
Because it's drama.
Clicks. Downloads.
Number four,
People do love drama.
I love drama.
Who doesn't? That's
You
why I
sent
watch
me-
Fire Country nonstop.
You sent me the link to this and said, look at the dramas going on. And
That's
I didn't
it.
know. And I started literally salivating.
Devouring it.
What? Drama? Love it.
Love it.
It's like what everything that you want. Blackmail. Extortion. You're saying some key words. This is like an FX thing. This could be a movie.
There's a reason Days of Our Lives has been on for 50,000 years.
Right. And it could all be fake.
Every bit of it. It
It
doesn't
could
matter.
all be lies.
It could. But
It could
you know
be a
what?
misunderstanding.
It could.
But it doesn't matter.
Something about them clicks.
Get them clicks. No. Actually, I did want to bring up something that's a little more salient point. This bothers me.
Explain salient.
Salient is like saline
Salty.
and clear.
You're fixing to be salty.
I'm fixing to be salty. I'm
Okay.
fixing to make a very clear point.
Salty and clear.
So let me put this out here. So while everybody else is talking about what's going on with Quackalope, y'all can go on Reddit or YouTube or whoever and hear all that from people who are much more informed and actually care about this than us. Here's the thing that bothers
We
me.
don't care.
I don't care.
100%.
Well, let me say that. No, not 100%, 99. I do care because number one, if that was true, that's awful.
It's about our hobby
It is our hobby.
that we are part of.
We're not.
It's a community.
It's not. We're more than a part of it. We're Golden Geek nominated.
We are Golden Geek nominees
We are-
thanks to
there-
our
there are-
loyal listeners.
There are tiers of this.
I have tears running down my face right now
Tears of the Sun.
thinking about all this.
Bruce Willis.
I love that movie.
Listen to me.
Catchphrase. Yippee-ki-yay.
What makes me mad is when influencers, people who are tangential to the creative process, are more successful than the actual creators. And now let me make this point.
That is a salient point.
So if you're an actor, director in movies, whatnot, writer, you are making a fair amount of money, a fair amount of success. Very, very few critics people who critique your work are actually benefiting from it. Siskel and Ebert, the only people that can come to your mind. There are very few people that you're looking at and going, oh, this guy. No. Perhaps some on YouTube. But for the vast majority, the fame, the fortune, and everything else, the creative effort, the people who are doing it are reaping the rewards. Mm-hmm. Board gaming, for some reason, and I will refer to a Twitter thread that will not be in the show notes because there's no way that I saved it nor found it because I was getting on my burner account on Twitter and read a thread by Johnny Pack, one of the designers whose name now, what games he has designed, leaves me.
Fistful of Meeples.
Thank you.
The
Good
one
game.
with all the rondelles.
I love rondelles.
He likes Western games.
Either way, he, during this thread, was talking about how much money, very clearly, that he has made as a designer. Mm-hmm. It was not a lot. Basically working a full-time job and then doing this, and here's all. And so, not making a lot of money being a board game designer. And that's very sad because when you compare it that this person who is doing this, not just as a hobby, but as a job or a passion, is creating all this content that so-called, and I'll do it in air quotes, influencers are now benefiting from. In the board game culture, people who do not add anything, or at least, let me back that up a little bit, very little to the culture will benefit more so than a lot of designers. I think that is insane that influencers, the people who are basically glorified marketers, can be more successful than the people who are actually creating the content for which. Just imagine if you had some reviewer of movies that's making more money than Tom Cruise or some other director or the people who are writing for these things. That's essentially what we have going on in board gaming. You can have people who have made numerous games. You don't know their face. You have no idea, and then more than likely haven't made any money. J. Alex Cavern. We don't know what that guy looks like.
No.
Made some great games. Does he retire from his job? Probably not. And then you look at all these other designers that actually will put out quality games, but they're still working a full-time job doing something else. This is their day. But yet influencers have the gall to think that because they own some sort of, what's the name of the microphone?
Sway.
What's some of the microphone name? That blue
Rode?
Blue
Yeti.
Some Blue Yeti microphone and a Spotify account think that they can talk in it and give their opinion, and that is somehow worth more than the effort does it take to put together what we see before us. I'm gesturing to my 3 Kalex's worth of board games.
This kind of goes to a discussion we had, and we touched on kind of in the Reiner Knizia discussion we had a few episodes ago of talent. Would you rather be talented or would you rather be entertaining? And there's so many YouTube's videos, influencers, creators. They're entertaining, but they don't have talent. And so that would be especially true in the board game space. So you have someone that knows how to talk into a microphone, and they can be obviously. I'm going to say this particular character, Quackalope, had like 46,000 subscribers.
That's a lot.
So that's not nothing. So apparently he has something that people like. I've watched a few. It's not for me, but what does he have? I don't know. But yet, there are talented people that have created games and have the brain to create these math puzzles and these elaborate, intricate board games that requires a lot of smarts and just talent that don't get near as much money or whatever. We're talking about money because of acclaim.
I mean, you think of the design, even the artist. Like, you think of O'Toole. That's about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know any.
Beth Sobel.
The guy that does all of Garfield's games, and I forget.
Piero. Those. Oh, Garfield. That's
Miko?
No, that's McDonald. No, that was. I'm sorry. That's the other. That's the other one.
There's a couple of them.
See,
But anyway,
that's what gets me. There you go. Now you see.
we can't even think of the names of more than a few artists that do this amazing work for these games. But yet here's a guy that's like, hey, everybody, listen to me. And he gets paid a bunch of money.
Right. So, or even the publishers, and I'm rapidly just glancing towards my shelf. Let's just do 25th Century Game. Let's since we keep making fun of Chad. We make fun of Chad's. Chad's just a guy who's a nice guy who's putting out various games, getting the rights to publish just various Reiner Knizia games and other games and putting them out there and doing Kickstarters and so forth. He seems like he's just a guy working out of his garage. But yet he is doing more for the community of board gaming than any influencer out there. But yet, why is it that there's a sense of, I'm going to start this YouTube channel or this podcast, and I'm going to do this thing.
Or even Instagram accounts.
And just taking pictures. And I feel like I am somehow entitled to a slice of the pie that comes from this industry that is already oversaturated with mediocre games and mediocre just products in general, and just an influx of just, I want to say, just content, when that causes the really talented people to be overlooked. Does that make sense? Am I rambling?
No,
okay.
I'm here with you.
This makes me mad. All right, so let's just take Dan Hughes for example. So like Dan didn't make any money off CoreQuest. Like probably hardly anything at all. And I remember I remember months and months ago when you were talking about publishing games and board games, we were having that discussion. I was like, yeah, you don't make any money making board games. Like it is not, unless you work for a company and you own part of the company or something of that nature. You just being a freelancer, I'm going to start making, there's very...
Putting something out on Kickstarter is not going to get you rich.
No, unless you just have like a massive, hugely successful game. And even then, the chances of you, the idea that you're going to make a board game, that one board game, and get rich, that's like an Alan R. Moon type thing, like the Ticket to Ride. Like it's almost impossible for that such thing to take place. A Catan, Settlers of Catan type. I mean,
thing. You could probably name on one hand the amount of people that have made
millions
off of
you
producing board
are
games.
better off getting on. You would have a better chance of just starting a YouTube channel and getting success off of anything. Not just talking about board games, just anything else. The fact that we have people, and this drives me insane. Now, maybe this is why this irritation is coming from. These accounts of people faking pranks, these couple pranks and all this.
God,
or doing reaction videos.
TikTok.
It drives me. I don't even have TikTok. It's spilled over.
It's all the same thing. It's Reels, Instagram. It's all the same thing.
Where you have people doing reaction videos where they're just looking.
You have people literally just with their faces showing as they're watching another video.
And they are somehow making money off of this.
It's disgusting.
So, I think that's what irritates me. I do not mind utilizing, for instance, let's just take the Dice Tower, for example. They have a massive audience. They provide a service. They do reviews. They do previews. They do playthroughs. They have interaction and personality and things of that nature. But they also do conventions. They do things for the community. This is not a person who is putting forth just content leeching off designers. It's something that's useful. If I designed a board game tomorrow, I would desperately want it to be reviewed by the Dice Tower, whether it gives it a lukewarm review or not. Like, because of the exposure that you would
just having
get
the name mentioned, people be like, I never heard of that before.
Just the mention of it. And nor are there, and they review tons of games.
Which I've heard Secret Cabal has said that they said, Jamie Stegmaier said that he's like, even if you just said it negatively, you've said the name of my game and now people are aware.
Right. And even still, that alone is a form of a service. I understand that. People who do playthrough videos, or even videos where they're just showing, learning how to play a game.
A service.
You are providing a service.
A service.
But games where you are just simply hyping up a game. You are a marketer, basically. You have now gone out gained an audience, and now you're taking money from publishers to hype a game to your already audience. Well, you're taking money that's going to obviously change your viewpoint. You're being paid to hype something. That bothers me. The paid preview thing that was been such a huge issue in the past, which I myself have bought games watching paid previews and not know that.
Not too many podcasts ago.
It's been a thing. I understand why people get upset about that. But at the same time, it can be a service. It can be something that people do, and like I understand it to a degree. But the fact that I think it's just lopsided is what I'm trying to say. We've got too many designers that are barely getting the credit that they deserve, and way too many of the TikTok type influencers that are reaping the benefits.
Yeah, I would say the quote unquote influencers that are out there hyping games are becoming far more prominent and there's a lot more of them than reviewers that we are aware of and that have like a good long history of trustworthiness. Yes. There's, oh my God, you can just go on TikTok, you can go on Instagram, and there are tons of people out there with thousands of followers, and they're not reviewing. They're not adding anything other than their face to the box and saying, hey, here's a game, check it out. And then you come to this thing of, well, you can't fault them for just, getting what's theirs at the time. And I said that on the last podcast we did about this discussion. I was like, if you can make money at openly saying, hey, check out, I just read this recently and it did change my mind. There's a way of phrasing things in some of this media that subtly can influence you. If you can say, hey, here's a game coming to Kickstarter, check it out, then really you're saying, if I'm telling you, hey, there's a movie I watched, check it out. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you I liked it.
Pretty much.
Why would I tell you to check it out if it sucked?
I would do that, though.
Yeah, I know.
I would most certainly tell you, hey, check this out. And then you watch it and be like, yeah, it was terrible.
But there's like a whole subtleness to it that's like, it's just such a gray line of what's good, what's not, what's acceptable, what's not. I mean, in the last podcast we did about this, I was like, if you can make some money and you're openly honest about, hey, this is more for me, it's like, hey, this is how you play this game. If this game is something that now that you've seen us play it and discuss it, that you'd be interested in, check this out.
And I've given this some thought. Phrasing. Here's what the problem is, and this is where the root of the problem lies. We simply consume too much. Not only do we consume too much in the terms of buying games, way too many games, we also consume too much content. So essentially what takes place is that in terms of there being one, or not just a small group, just to say a manageable group of companies that are making a fair amount of money off of board games, we have tons of companies that are producing thousands upon thousands of board games every year, most of them unsuccessful, most of them that will never be played. Most of them are just reprints, to where we have diluted the talent. We've got the same thing just being reskinned, rather than having a very select few of, and I'm not saying there should be like this, select few conglomerate of board game companies or publishers, but rather we just have way too much in terms of games being produced in comparison to what people can actually purchase and play, to where the vast majority of us have just become collectors rather than players. We collect it almost as if it's a painting or something. It's like just the ownership of it.
To display on your shelf that nobody cares about.
And then we listen to all these influencers, and it's just we consume so much content in terms of board gaming, which it is interesting. It is a hobby.
I was going to say that, I was thinking, it's so ironic because people play board games to enjoy the analog world.
Right.
But yet I would say board gamers are some of the most digital people you will ever meet.
Right.
Because we're so obsessed with YouTube reviews and Board Game Geek reviews and TikTok and Instagram and posting and let me take a picture of my game and post it and get the, and we're guilty. We're not guilty. Yes, we're guilty. We're right there because we're a board game podcast. Without the digital medium, it would be hard to promote what we're doing. We would like people to listen to us, so we promote.
No,
but for board gaming to be an analog event requires, and people want so much digital intake of it.
Right. And I think that's part of the problem is that really, and Enrique might be able to add into this, like
feel free to add
from the video game perspective. Like, there are AAA games that get produced every year in terms of video games. There are these AAA games that certain companies put out. And you know when a AAA game is getting produced.
Oh, yeah.
It takes years of production. But then, I can count on maybe one hand within the past decade how many so-called AAA games I've purchased. Because I don't particularly care for those. I tend to play what used to be referred to as the greenlit games on Steam-powered. Of the more indie games, the 8-bit, 16-bit type things.
And usually, like the indie games and the 8-bit games are more successful than the AAA games.
Correct, because some of the best games I've played have been designed by just one person rather than a team of hundreds.
Yeah, take Risk of Rain, for example.
Excellent example.
It's a simple game, but it was just massively accepted.
So that's my point, is that if you are a one-man outfit and you have the ability to make a successful indie video game, or you have the ability to make a successful board game, it would be way more profitable for you to make a video game than a board game, to put your talents to something else. Even if that video game didn't sell as much as the board game, you're still going to make more money off that because of just the community. Even though I'm not claiming that video games community is any less toxic than board gaming by far. I'm just saying is that, can you think of any video game reviewers that are influencers that have like a massive, like somebody that you, when you start thinking of it, this pops into your head? It's generally the community that brings to light, that brings to attention these games, or maybe various websites. It's not one person, one influencer.
And if they do, we just usually bash on said influencer.
There you go. So why is it that in board gaming we have this I don't know, it's like an influx of, would you consider us influencers? I don't.
Yes.
I don't consider us reviewers. We do reviews at times.
Here's something we've leaned into, and I believe it to be true. And whether people are influenced by us or not, you hate to put it on them, but it's like
that's their fault.
That's their fault. But I've often said we're here for entertainment purposes.
I think of us more as commentary of like, well, if we're just being super meta and honest,
yes,
which I hate being both of those.
Go ahead.
Is that it is more commentary and more of a parody of what board gaming is. Like, I've often thought it'd just be wonderful if one day I revealed I've never played a board game. You're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've just read the title, read the rule book. I've never touched a board. But that's more along the line of what we are. We're on the fringe of the board game community. We know a bunch of people in it. I absolutely love the community and everything about it. But at the same time, I don't feel like we're part of that conglomerate. When people...
Well, the thing... Okay, influencers are there to influence people. Okay, so... Yeah, as much as I hate to say it, Jerry, yes, we would be. Because whoever sent us Clash of Cultures, they sent out this thing. They said, hey, who would like to review this for review copies? The only reason they do that is because they want people talking about their game to influence people to buy that game. You respond to them, say, hey, yes, I've always been interested in this game. I've always wanted to play it. We'd be interested in it. And they said, okay, here's your copy.
I just sent them an email saying, do you not know who I am?
And we got the game. We played it. Fortunately for them, unlike Star Trek Conflict, we really enjoyed this game. So therefore, us saying we enjoyed this game, whether you purposefully mean to be an influencer or not, or put yourself in that category, you're probably going to influence somebody.
But we have no vested interest in whether anybody buys Classic Cultures at all.
No, not us personally.
No. I do feel like in terms of when you use the word influencer, I don't think that we're trying to influence people in terms of board games. I know it sounds odd because
we're not trying to.
No. This
but you might do it as a byproduct.
I've always found like this.
Oh, Enrique said, hold on. What?
Read that definition.
Read it,
on
Jerry.
the
Read
on
it.
the
Oh
marketing.
my! Did you just pull out a definition?
Look at- he's
Yeah.
Because
using that
you know you. A person or thing that influences another. A person with the ability to influence potential buyers of a product or service by promoting or, and this is underlined, recommending the items on social media. So technically, in terms of
what
marketing,
I'm saying.
And we don't recommend.
well, we
the
do
game.
recommend sometimes.
Do we?
Like,
When we say this is a great game, you're recommending it.
but I don't feel
you
like
don't have to say, I am recommending this game because we enjoyed it and I think you should buy it. You don't have to say that specifically. All you got to say as an influencer is, we really enjoyed this. And the people that like you and follow you, they'll say, well, if they like it, I bet I'll like it.
But here's my point, though, and this may be
But our sole purpose is not to really promote the game to influence
That is
people.
not our sole purpose. You are
no,
correct.
that's
But that's the thing, though. We're not influencing the people to buy the game because we're aiming at that. But we do have we
do have influence.
Yeah, we do have a certain amount of influence, but we're not just trying to solely and purposely.
awful.
I know, but we're not purposely trying to, to make them buy the game.
We've
or
had
whatever.
listeners email us and tell us the games they've bought because we've said we like
And
them.
that has warmed the cockles of my heart.
As they should.
But here's my point, though,
Every game we
is
like,
that I don't. If I was a reviewer / influencer, I would take this a lot more seriously. So maybe this is a intervention for me. So maybe this should be a thing because in my mind,
So then we shouldn't call Clash of Cultures a review.
in my mind, this podcast is just us getting together and talking. My purpose of this podcast is to get together and enjoy spending time with y'all, and it just being something that I know in years from now I'm going to look back and be able to listen to these episodes and go, oh, I remember that, and look back upon this fondly. And there's people that we have met and talked to and have interactions with because of this podcast, to where it's like we have influenced these people, not so much in terms of what board games that they purchase, but in other ways. It's been
Life.
it's just been a interesting it's been an interesting experience because this is not something that I would have ever thought I would have enjoyed to do. It is exactly the polar opposite of what I wanted to do. As you well know, in terms of podcasts and what I had planned for this podcast.
Just listen to episode 1.
Thank God, because it was like I had that path of we can turn this into a business. This is what we're going to do. And it was awful. Simply because I realized very quickly, 1, that's not us. 2, we're not going to be any good at that. 3, the best thing we can do is just turn on the microphones and talk and not care about it because we don't really want to be this. This is not us.
Well, you made a salient point just then. For me, it is, what's your attitude going in? Are you going into this wanting to make it a business? Are you going into this at some point wanting to make money to support yourself? If that's the case, then that's a whole different ball game. Whereas we went into it. You may have had those ideals in the beginning, but we quickly verged off course and just became the ridiculous podcast we are, where we say we're just doing this for entertainment purposes. Now, along the way, if there are people that want to support what we do, help pay some of the bills, that's great. But it's not going to influence us in what we do and influencing you. Like, that's just it boggles my mind to even think about how all of this. I'm speechless. Like this whole discussion of this YouTuber that's put out these videos because they're wanting to make money, and now they're being accused of blackmail by this company. Like, that is sad. Ultimately, it boils down to just being a sad product of a world we live in of capitalism and people wanting to make money, which. And then you get people that are trying to support, well, I mean, okay, if you want to get money, go get yours. Okay, great. But then now we have this whole situation that we have now, in which now one company is accusing another company, which, I mean, they're a company, basically.
Please don't be misled.
Allegedly.
Be misled. We would sell out at a heartbeat.
We've said that from the beginning.
Nobody's made any offers.
Nobody at the beginning.
We will
We're not
delete
good
this
enough.
episode.
We're not good enough.
If we had, and we will completely change who we are in a heartbeat.
I love Star Trek conflict, whiz kids.
You just send this. I'm telling you.
Give me X amount of dollars. And Star Trek conflict
it wouldn't have to be a
favorite
lot.
Game of all time.
It wouldn't have to be a lot.
But it's a sad state of affairs when you, okay, so then you go
My morals are fluid.
then you go to the poor listeners, the poor subscribers that maybe you're a genuine follower of this individual. And you have just followed every word they've said, and you love everything they say. And when they talk about a game, you're just enraptured.
Who would do that, though?
You're enraptured by what they say about this game. I feel sorry for them.
We don't have to worry about that because we don't got anybody like that. All the people who listen, I can guarantee you there's not a single person who listens to this podcast that cares anything that we say about board games.
They shouldn't.
They don't. I guarantee.
In fact, we get several listeners that say, I completely disagree about your board games.
But I still listen. That's the greatest part.
Listen.
I'll have to look it up, but the email that somebody sent saying, I listen to your podcast, not for your board games. And it says, I literally buy every board game that Jury hates because I know I'll like it, but I still love the podcast. Yes. That was like, yes. But I mean, I'm like, when you think of all these other people that listen to us, they're all out there buying games anyways. It don't matter what we say. Luke Holt, that guy's out there buying stuff crazy.
They
ain't got no self-control.
They can't help themselves.
Chad
they just buy everything.
I'm on the virtual flea market BGG.
Soul Train just buys everything.
Chad Sasson, he's in there just making it rain. You can't stop him. Listen.
He buys a pound of shrimp and a pound of board games.
That's legitly. But so I think that people listen to this podcast because we're just on the fringe of the culture. And so when stuff like this that happens, that drama, we don't want to be a part of the drama. We just want to take advantage of it, which is
we just want to talk about it.
We just want to talk about it, and for clicks. And I think we've been successful in that.
I think we have, because we have really not taken a stance on anything.
We are so milquetoast level medium on. Well, I've watched a few Quackalope's videos. They were.
There they were.
They're there.
They are.
I prefer. I've often said what few videos he does that my dear friend, and I may be terribly biased because not only is he a dear friend, he's dear,
like Sweet Tooth.
He is incredibly. To me, he's one of the most charming men in board gaming. Richard Simpson.
Tricky Dick.
He does excellent videos. If only he would
Scottish brogue you like.
If he would just put forth the drop this podcast thing, it's never going to work out for him.
He has a podcast?
I know, but just do the videos, because really he's super talented. He's not Ben Maddox level, but he is super talented.
Shots fired.
No, he knows it. He's a different. So like there's some like, all right, so like how do I put this? I'll use like the actor thing.
How can you compliment and insult somebody in the same sentence?
There are some actors that are amazing actors, but then there's actors that are amazing actors and they've got the looks. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So you have actors like Steve Buscemi.
Let's just boot yourself
Like
out
Steve
of
Buscemi. All right, Richard is like the Steve
Buscemi. He's
Buscemi.
the Steve Buscemi of YouTubing.
And Ben Maddox is like the Daniel Day-Lewis of them. And it's like you just can't hardly like they're both talented, but Ben's just got that other little bump right there. And I'm not even going to talk about Dan Hughes.
Is it because he has hair and Richard doesn't? You're a baldist.
Richard has hair.
You're a baldist.
Richard's got some hair. He got some hair. What are you talking about?
As much as me.
No, you and Dan, y'all both got some. Just because y'all, why y'all so obsessed about your hair? Nobody cares about your hair.
Because
it's your weight. Does everybody focus on? Oh, chunky.
How dare you?
And see, there's another one, Dan. See, would you ever have thought that you'd be associated with the biggest names in board gaming? Mike Delisio and who's that other dude? Jude.
Matty Jude.
He ain't return our emails, but that's fine.
He does not. He's too busy
and then
traveling to
all
Thailand.
the fans, people, we got to do another call-in episode. When we get back from BGG, we got to fire up the phone. We're going to do another.
But we
our fans
other listeners to call in.
No, the same
people.
Seven. Same 7 people. Call back. Send us in. Some international. We'll probably do it at a different time. We need to do it at like a different date.
Yeah, we got to let the Australian and Irish listeners call in.
I don't care what time. I can't do an Irish. I can't do an Irish.
You cannot.
How do you do it? Is it from the back of the
Lucky Charms?
No. How do you do?
No, you gotta have to. You have to pick a phrase, and that helps you get into it.
I don't care. No, don't do that. They don't do that. That's.
Don't you know?
No, don't stop.
I need another Colin show. Colin Farrell. Colin show. Banshees of Ed Sheeran. Oh, Banshees of Ed Sheeran. Oh, he's a great singer.
The Banshees of Ed Sheeran.
Oh, the Banshees of Ed Sheeran. You better watch out for them. They come at you. He starts singing, and if you don't love his singing, he sends his Banshees after you. And then there's nothing you can do.
Excellent.
And that's going to do it for this episode.
So that's the end of that.
Enrique, do you have any final thoughts?
Oh,
THOT.
I have final thoughts?
I didn't even know I had thoughts. I gotta get your chicken strips. Sorry.
You don't have any?
Fine. I don't got any.
Okay.
I think you guys
chicken
said what
strips.
you
I
wanted
keep
to say.
chicken strips in the deep freeze.
All right, everybody, look out for the Banshees of Ed Sheeran.
That's
Until then.
great. That should be like a parody band.
I'm sure
Like
it
a
is
bunch
somewhere.
of gingers. Is gingers a
I'm
slur?
sure. Oh, huh?
Gingers is not a slur because I don't want to alienate anybody.
No, it's
I'm
just
sure
a
it's not.
hair color, isn't it?
It's just a hair color.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I'm
a bunch
sure
of
it's not
gingers,
offensive.
and they're all.
I'm sure it's
and
not
they
offensive.
Have
in
a
any
band,
way.
and they're all.
Now, if we said it in an offensive
Banshees
way,
of it.
then that would be.
It should be a group of females. The band She's of Ed Sheeran.
Oh,
And they're all redheaded.
oh, that's so wonderful. That could work.
We need to go out on top.
Why don't we do that? I swear, if people would just listen to the show, the ideas that
We've
come out of
plateaued.
it. No.
Plateaupelope.
Stop.
Let's go out on top.
No, on top. All right.
That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Patreons, Godspeed. I'm Gavi.
This is Jerry.
Thank you for tolerating this episode of the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.